Welcome to part 3 of my journey through the history of Doctor Who, as I watch and review every episode of the show. Here, I'll be reviewing the 7-part serial The Daleks, an episode that lays out the foundation for an over half-century rivalry, and arguably the episode which gave the show its staying power. Now that we're into our first longer serial of the show, I do just want to say that I'm not intending for these reviews to be detailed plot summaries. There are plenty of resources out there which can give a much better summary of each episode's plot than I. I intend to just give a brief overview of what happens in the episode, and then give my thoughts. The serial starts off with the TARDIS crew landing on an alien planet, a first for Ian and Barbara. We find them in a petrified forest on a war-torn planet, and they spot what appears to be a dead city. Ian, Barbara and Susan want to head off rather than explore, but the Doctor is determined to stay, and deceives his companions into thinking the TARDIS's fluid link is broken, and that they need to find Mercury in the city. They venture down into what appears to be a dead city, and get confronted by an evil plunger. This turns out in the next episode to of course be a Dalek. The team is captured, although the Daleks at this point aren't as evil as they are to become, only paralysing Ian for trying to escape rather than resorting to extermination.
Legs! My legs!
We come to learn that it has been centuries since the final moments of a long war on the planet Skaro, between the Daleks and the Thals. The Daleks believe the Thals are all dead, and if not, must be horrifically mutated. Of course, in classic sci-fi plot twist, we find that the Thals are all actually extremely beautiful, but it's clear that the Daleks weren't lying or misled. They truly believe that these Thals are mutated and ugly. The next few episodes are effectively running back and forth between escaping the city to the jungle and then going back to the city for some reason or another, but we get a lot of marvellous insights which build up the Daleks and the Thals. When they first attempt an escape, the TARDIS team trap and break into a Dalek, and we get to see our first glimpse of the creature inside the casing.
Susan, Barbara. Go in the corridor and keep a lookout.
Yes.
Lift! Yes.
After getting out of the city for the first time, and joining up with the Thals, we learn that before the war, the Thals, now a pacifist agrarian group of people, were a warlike race, and the Daleks, formerly known as the Dals, were a peaceful and scientific race. During this exposition, we get a nice moment with the Doctor, showing us his curious side.
What is this planet?
Each of these maps is a tiny section of another solar system, so that a total picture can be built up.
Total? Oh, you have records of other systems?
Yes.
Yes, I see. I wonder if I could see the plans.
Oh, yes.
I might be able to fix our position.
Crew find out that they need to go back to the city to pick up the fluid link which was taken from Ian when he went back to the city the first time.
Oh, dear boy, now please, come along. You know I can't start the ship without it. Fluid link.
You've lost it? Ian, you can't have.
No. The Daleks took it from me when they searched me. It's down there somewhere. In the city.
The Doctor wants to use the Thals to invade the city, but we get a very noble moment from Ian, who says that he doesn't want to force the Thals into a battle where many will die just to help them.
The Doctor's right. Ian, can't you see? If only we can get the Thals to attack the city, we could beat the Daleks and get the link
That's
back.
just common sense. Young lady, I've been underestimating you.
I will not allow you to use the Thals to fight for us.
Are you challenging me?
Yes, I am.
Do I have any say in this?
Of course you do.
Well, I think the Doctor's right, and I want to get out of here.
I am sorry, I'm not having anyone's death on my conscience.
They instead convince the Thals that in order to survive, they must defeat the Daleks, with or without the Doctor's help. This line of thinking from Ian is exactly what we'd expect to hear from the Doctor, and do hear from them many, many times in the future of the show. This is just one example of how I think Ian lent a lot of his personality onto the Doctor in the future. One part I appreciate in this episode is to keep a lot of the details of the Daleks a mystery. The Thals have a record tablet with a picture of a Dal pre-war, but the writers make a great decision not to show it to the audience, adding to the mystery.
But do you remember that monstrosity we took out of its machine?
Yes.
This is its forebear.
Original Dalek.
Yes, they called them Dals then. Oh, it's all there, every moment of its Starroween history.
As we saw before in the city, when they remove the Dalek from its casing, all we see of it is a small claw coming out of a blanket. It's quite funny that the Daleks at this point are noticeably weaker than what we see them in the future. They can only move in the city, having to stick on these metal paths, and in the final fight scene where the Thals take on the Daleks, a couple hits are enough to take them down. The episode also finishes off with the Daleks being completely defeated, and I don't think they ever bring up how they eventually did survive, but I guess that's just part of the charm of Doctor Who, I guess. This episode is a great introduction to the Daleks. If maybe an episode too long, there are some confusing moments, including Barbara's weird romance with a Thal named Ganatus, and one of the least intense jumps over a gap in history.
Take a good long run.
But the positives are tremendous. We get the first showings of the Daleks, which still gives us plenty of intrigue. We have lore which we know will be built on amazingly in the decades to come, and the Doctor as a character grows a lot during this episode, from starting out tricking his companions and endangering their lives, to cunningly foiling the Daleks in the final episode. We get a brilliant piece of lore at the end of this episode, where the Doctor tells the Thals that he once was a pioneer for his people, and get a brilliant Doctor Who moment with a bit of a monologue from William Hartnell.
Where do you get your knowledge, Doctor? You know, there never seems to have been time to ask, but we don't really know where you come from.
To rebuild a whole new world. How I envy you.
But you must stay and help us. We could learn.
Oh, no. I'm afraid I'm much too old to be a pioneer, although I was once amongst my own people.
Well, then stay and advise us, please.
No, thank you. We're much too far away from home, my granddaughter and I. You wanted advice, you said. I never give it, never. But I might just say this to you. Always search for truth. My truth is in the stars. And yours is here.
Won't you rest with us?
No, I'm afraid it's out of the question. But I might visit your grandchildren to find if they've learned the secrets. And if they have, well, who knows? I might live with them.
This is a truly fantastic episode, which I'm giving 9.5 out of 10. If black and white is too big of a turn-off for you, then the good news is they're releasing a coloured version of this episode very soon. I've never minded the black and white of the 60s era, but if this is how to get people to watch the origins of the show, I'd love to see more episodes given this treatment in the future. Join me next time in a space horror episode set entirely on board the TARDIS in an extremely unique episode, The Edge of Destruction.